Hi everyone, and welcome to the Aries August 2021 Spiritual Connection reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot and Meaning-Based Spiritual Coaching Services. I am Lauren. Hi and welcome. So this is one of 3 connection readings that I complete each month for each sign. So we start the month with the self-connection reading. We follow that up with the spiritual connection reading, which is this reading. And then we have our love connection reading, which ends the month. Now, all 3 are meant to bring a holistic look and awareness to your unique internal authentic self and how that unique internal authentic self connects to your external environment and to also the people in your external environment. And this is all to allow you to be able to better understand your place and purpose, your unique place and purpose, and to really step into that feeling of emotional fulfillment and the ability to see meaning for yourself as you engage uniquely and authentically with your external environment. So this reading specifically is your spiritual connection reading, and we are going to pull cards to take a look at your unique energy along with the energy in your external environment. And then we're going to go into possibly any blocks that are coming up that are preventing you from being able to engage your authentic self with your external environment and how to navigate around those so that you can, I would say, the most authentically engage with your external environment, but also for you to be able to really step into that place that you're meant to fulfill right now in your external environment. All right, Aries. So I'm going to pull a card here from my traditional Rider-Waite Tarot deck, and we're going to take a look at the energies that you're currently sitting with right now. So Aries, what am I Aries sitting with for August? All right, so we have a beautiful card coming out here for you, Aries. We have the Ace of Cups. Now, the Ace of Cups is a card that signifies or represents our connection, our unique internal connection to the divine, to Source. This is the reminder that we always have an overflowing cup between us and the divine. This is that representation of unconditional love and unconditional emotional fulfillment as well. This is, the Ace of Cups can also signify new love as well. So you are really sitting with this beautiful energy of a fresh start on the emotional plane of your current experience. Beautiful, beautiful energy to be sitting with. And I know some of you may be sitting here going, I don't feel that. Well, as we move into the reading, you'll understand perhaps some areas that are blocking you from being able to fully step into this gift between you and the divine of this emotional fresh start, this stepping into unconditional love. All right, and then we're going to take a look at what the energy of your external environment is sitting with currently. And we have Judgment. Judgment is a card that denotes a big change, but most specifically, a change that occurs from it, as you can see here in this image. It's a change. It's almost destiny. This is a destined change. This is when fate calls you up to step into something new. So it is a change that is very difficult to deny. And it really does signify actually you rising up as the new version of yourself, which I think goes hand in hand with this kind of fresh start in love, fresh start in emotional fulfillment between you and destiny, so to speak. So we're going to kind of see here what is coming out in the void between you and your internal energy and your external the energy of the external environment. So when I talk about the void, what is the void? The void is it's a protective barrier that we create as we move from childhood into adulthood. And it's basically the barrier that we create as we attempt to work with and bring out those unique, internal, authentic pieces of ourselves, and we look to bring them out and engage them with our external environment. But the times that we bring them out, especially as children, where we don't quite understand how to utilize them, and perhaps we bring out a part of ourselves and it's ridiculed, or a part of ourselves and it gets laughed at, or we try to work with our part of ourselves, an ability, let's say, and we fail at the first attempt of utilizing it in the external environment. And we, instead of realizing that this is us on a spiritual and emotional plane, learning about ourselves, just as we on a physical and a mental plane learn about ourselves through doing things like learning how to walk and ride a bike, or studying in class to grow yourself on a mental level. Well, on a spiritual level, each time we bring out a unique part of ourselves, that is us trying to grow and evolve on that level at the same time. But because we don't really have I would say, societal, cultural focus on spiritual and emotional growth, we tend to not have a supportive environment unless you have very special parents that will continue to say, sweetie, kids may have laughed at you in class for bringing out that part of yourself, but that doesn't mean that you should hide that part of yourself. It simply means that you need to continue to work with it, to learn how to appreciate that that's a unique part of yourself, and to learn how better to engage it the next time. But what happens is, because we generally don't have that support system in our external environment to kind of nurture our internal environment, we start to put up barriers between those parts of our internal unique self and the external environment. And eventually there's so many layers of this barrier between us and our unique self and our external environment that it becomes a void. We no longer are engaging on an emotional level with our external environment because we've hidden so much of ourself that as we take action out here, we're not engaging any authentic part of ourselves. And thereby, a lot of times, we just end up acting without awareness. We're taking action that actually has no direct value to ourselves. And that's when we can lose sight of meaning and that sense of purpose, because we're not tying any action authentically back to ourselves with awareness. That's also when we can become frustrated as to why our external environment doesn't seem to represent who we are as a person, or why do others not see me as who I feel I am. And the reverse can be true as well, that your external environment doesn't get a chance to see the best of you. And so it kind of creates this, self-fulfilling prophecy of, I can't be myself in my external environment, and how come my external environment doesn't see and support me as a unique individual? And so what we're going to do right now is we're going to pull cards to see the energy of what's sitting in your void right now, the challenges that are here and the blocks that are preventing you from really stepping in and sharing this fresh emotional start, this beautiful kind of new connection to the energy of love, and stepping into this big change that's happening actually in your external environment. So we have two cards that pop right out. So we'll put these here. And I'm going to continue to go ahead and pull some additional cards to see what comes out. So what's come out so far is we have the Seven of Cups and the Prince of Pentacles, which the Prince of Pentacles in this deck is in the traditional tarot deck. Ooh. The traditional tarot deck is the Knight of Pentacles. Let's see if we can get one more to come out here. We have very talkative cards. So the two additional cards that just came out, Aries, are the Queen of Pentacles and the World. Any other cards for Aries? So the Seven of Cups, and actually, as I'm trying to pull out this last card for you, Aries, I'm going to also talk a little bit about what I was feeling intuitively as I was sitting with your energy and shuffling your cards before I started this reading. Oh, okay, 3 cards came out. Looking for one, but of course 3 came out. So let me just put these down here. So the last 3 cards that came out, we have the Nine of Wands, we have the Queen of Wands, and we have the Three of Swords. Okay, Aries. So when I was sitting with your energy before starting this reading, I distinctly heard "when pigs fly." And it almost came out, and I actually saw the image. I don't know how, what you were exposed to as far as childhood reading, but I remember there was this book when I was a child that actually was all about when pigs fly. I think it was called Babe the Flying Pig. And it was a really interesting book. I remember even at the time, the book really resonated with me. The message behind it and the images of these little flying pigs, or the flying pig who then actually I think finds additional flying pigs. But there is this quality, I feel like, Aries, that you're kind of sitting with the energy of, yeah, right. Like when pigs fly, sure, like that's really gonna happen. And I think that what you're being asked to kind of go beyond is, I do feel that based on that there's something coming in for your guys that's kind of just right around the corner. This big change that's coming through in your external environment. But it's almost like you can't quite believe that it's happening. You can't quite believe that everything is going to change for the better. And I'm really seeing that here come through with this card, with this beautiful kind of fresh, brand new rejuvenation of your tie emotionally to your life experience. And this fresh start that also could be coming in love. Not even, obviously it could be romantic love, but this could also be that fresh start in just divine love. Feeling loved for who you are from the divine, from the universe, and also being able to love with fresh eyes everything that you're currently experiencing. So it's a really beautiful energy. Now, for the Seven of Cups, this is your challenge card. This is your first step in the block between you and bringing forward this beautiful new emotional connection coming from a place of love, with greeting the change in your external environment with optimism and excitement. Instead of, yeah, sure, when pigs fly, that's really what's going to happen. So we have the Seven of Cups. Now, the Seven of Cups is a card of, it can be a card of opportunities for emotional fulfillment, but it's also a card for me that when it's in a challenge position like this, it represents that illusion that there are things beyond ourselves that can emotionally fulfill us. And the illusion stems from the fact that each one of us has the Ace of Cups within us. We have this singular divine connection. We have one cup that is our cup that is always full. And it's what's in that cup and what holds value, what allows us to connect to that feeling of unconditional love and emotional fulfillment is unique to each one of us. But it comes from within. So the Seven of Cups really focuses on that feeling of well, something beyond myself can emotionally fulfill me. When in reality, we have to be able to start with the emotional fulfillment that comes from within. There's also the element around the Seven of Cups that speaks to having this fear, and you can kind of see in this depiction of this guy, he looks almost like he's just, at his wit's end, being driven crazy almost by all of these options. And there's this element of fear that comes in around this, that what if I choose the wrong cup? What if I choose the wrong option and it's not the right, it won't emotionally fulfill me? And what if there's another element out beyond my control that might better emotionally fulfill me? When in reality, it's you holding the cup within yourself at all times. This is almost like a little bit like the Wizard of Oz story. It's the feeling like you don't have something, being Dorothy and not having the key to go home, or being the scarecrow and not realizing, I love all that each one of those characters, the scarecrow and the tin man and the lion, they all wanted something externally that they felt they didn't have from within, whether it was courage or a heart or a brain. And yet each one of those things, as they come to find out, was within themselves all along. And that's kind of the message here, of it's not about looking without and getting mixed up in one choice or another. It was always within you. And then we move into the Prince of Pentacles, which is technically the Knight of Pentacles. And the Knight of Pentacles is about slow, measured movement in the tangible world. This is about, it's a card that represents the energies of Virgo. I'm sorry, I'm going to take a drink of water here real fast. And so it's a card that's a little bit focused on kind of the devil in the details. This is where we take that slow, measured movement in our physical world and we look at the details and we want to basically get everything right so that we can grow what we want to grow in our external environment. And when I see these two together, there's this element of almost getting, to me, this is what's coming through with these two cards next to each other. And it's not something I would always see, but it's something that's coming through for me, Aries, is that it's like getting lost in the details, getting lost in the minutia of first feeling like, well, what's going to fulfill me as I move forward? What am I going to, what if I choose the wrong option? And this can look like, what if I choose the wrong person? What if there's a better option out there for me? What if I choose the wrong place to work at? What if there's something better out there for me? But then we go into the Knight of Pentacles here, and there's this quality that comes through that instead of slow and steady, this is more taking measured action, but coming from that place of wanting to get everything right. And in reality, we can't always get everything right. Just like we will always have many options outside of ourselves to choose that will emotionally engage us. But ultimately, what emotional fulfillment has to start within. Just like happiness has to start from within. We can't expect other things external to us to provide us with happiness. We have to find happiness in the external. And that's what I'm seeing here, is that you're having a very difficult time getting past the fact that this emotional tie truly does start from within, and that you can take all kinds of measured action and slow and steady, but sometimes you just need to change. Sometimes you just have to pick up your cup, hold it with you, and lean into the change. Now, Aries, your message for the self-connection reading, I believe, had a lot to do with kind of rediscovering yourself and also change. And actually last month, your readings dealt with change as well. That there's a lot of change coming, and a lot of change coming from within, how you see yourself, who you feel when you say, I am blank. You're starting to see that new version of self. That's really what the Judgment card heralds in, that new okay, you're being asked to rise up as a different version of self. But it also denotes a change in your external, since it's in your external environment, this denotes a big change. So there's this element now of take your cup, move past the illusion that it's almost like going through a hall of mirrors, that all these other external things can define you. When you say, I am, and Aries, that is your motto for your zodiac sign. Your motto is I am. And you actually define that I am through the actions that you take, because you're a fire sign. And you're a cardinal fire sign. So you're the leading fire sign. But you define who you are through your actions. And I think at this point, you've gotten a little lost in the actions that you've taken as being very slow and steady and wanting to cross all the T's and dot all the I's. And in reality, what you're being asked to do is to really step into leaning into the change and just going with it. You're not going to get everything perfect. Just like in the Hall of Mirrors, you're going to see all these different versions of yourself. But there's only really the one. And this is about coming back to that with fresh eyes, with a fresh look at yourself. Because then we have at the crux of your reading here, we have the Queen of Pentacles. And the Queen of Pentacles is a card that really represents knowing where to place your energy and knowing where to focus your time and energy and even money, because this is all about pentacles, it's about the physical environment, but not getting lost in the details. So the difference between the Prince of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles is that the Queen of Pentacles sits like the mother with her child and knows that all of her time and energy is going into this one seed, this one area that she is going to put all this time and energy in, and she's not going to get lost in the details. She's going to sit with full confidence knowing this is what I'm nurturing. And she comes from that place of unconditional love for what she's choosing to nurture in the physical. Because then on the other side here we have the world, and the world denotes an end. An end and a beginning wrapped up together. So the interesting element with this card in the tarot is that at times this can actually signify not only a wrap up, but signify movement and travel. Because again, it is an end and a beginning. It heralds in this element of you have gone through a whole cycle and you've learned all these beautiful lessons. And now you have this ability to integrate all of these lessons that you've learned, but to go forward now fresh. You're almost like going forward as the child again. And that could denote an actual, especially with the Judgment card in your physical or in your external environment, this could denote an actual physical change in location. So whether it's going on a trip, whether it's a change in physicality based from maybe you're moving from one work environment to another or from one home environment to another. But what I'm feeling here is that there's this quality of, if you can get past the illusion that emotional fulfillment, love, and happiness lie outside of yourself, and you can get past the devil in the details, so to speak, of trying to plot. Because the other thing about the Page of Pentacles is he's the one that's going to have the plan, the long-term plan, the one that's looking down the road of, okay, we'll take this step first, and then this step next, and then this step. And instead, you're being asked to kind of move past that into the Queen of Pentacles energy, where you're starting, and I do feel like you've already moved into this energy a little bit of seeing where you want to place your energy, seeing where you want to put your time, and perhaps even your money, your resources towards. But there is this element of not wanting to let something go. You're still getting caught up in but I made this plan, and I I got to take this step first and this step first. And you're being asked to say, no. When judgment calls, and you're going to have to just drop. This is almost like, being in a building or at school and the fire alarm goes off. There is no, oh, let me go back in and grab all my belongings. It's no, the fire alarm's going off. You have to focus on bringing that attention, bringing this caring, focused attention back to self, putting all of that energy into yourself to get yourself out that door. So that, and everything else can burn. Because what's truly a treasure and what's truly of value is within you, is you as a unique individual. So this can kind of look like not wanting to give up a job that you've worked long and hard at, or not wanting to give up perhaps a family dynamic that has really defined you to this point, or a career path that's defined you, or even down to perhaps, a hobby or something more. I mean, this could be something where you really don't want to give up, a sport that's meant so much to you in your life, and that when it's taken away, you can't say who you are anymore. Maybe up until this point, you've always said, well, I'm a baseball player, I'm an athlete. And suddenly you're being called up to no longer be an athlete. You're called up to start fresh as something new. Or same with work. And what's beautiful is that we have to realize nothing is ever wasted. If we have to leave something behind when the fire alarm, so to speak, goes off, when destiny calls, it's not to sit there and say, well, I just wasted all this time and I had all these plans and now what the heck? It's saying, no, you're the investment. That was all a lesson learned. You got a chance to learn all of this stuff about you, all of these things that now you're going to be able to take forward into the next version of yourself, into what destiny is calling you into. But you have to travel light. When you look at this card here, these people are being kind of, called up from the dead. This is bringing forward kind of the biblical image of judgment. But when you're being called up like this, it isn't, you can see these people are all naked. They're not bringing anything with them, not even clothes. There's going to be no suitcases. There's no time to pack. You're being called up, and now you are moving forward as this new version of self, as to whatever destiny's asking you to move into. Now, if you can release and lean into this change and know that everything you need is within you. You are that special, unique something to be treasured and the attention put towards, that as you move out and your final kind of challenge here to meet with destiny from a place of free will is we have the Nine of Wands, the Queen of Wands, and the Three of Swords. And there's this quality here of moving from the wounded warrior into someone who understands what it takes to act from passion. So the Nine of Wands denotes this journey of working with your passion, of working with taking action from a place of passion. But when you get to the Nine of Wands, you're at that completion cycle, but you're also one step away from that completion, from the number 10, which in the tarot is the completion of a cycle. And the Nine of Wands really denotes, okay, you're that kind of weary, wounded warrior. You've come this far, you've taken all this action with your passion, you've kept defending it, you've kept taking that action, and it's almost like, oh, can I go one more step forward? It's now almost becoming a burden. I'm exhausted. Yes, I understand that I have the skill set to get this far, but I don't really know where to go from here. I don't want to fight another battle. I don't want to fight the last battle. And what's interesting is that the last battle to go from the 9 to the 10 is release. It's to put down the load and walk on with only your one wand. And that's really what the Queen of Wands here is signifying on a much, I think, more powerful level than if the 10 of Wands had shown up here. The 10 of Wands is showing the burden and the release and starting out almost with page-like, with childlike energy with the 1. Instead, what this is showing with the Queen of Wands is that you guys are stepping forward as a powerful, knowledgeable individual who understands how to work with their unique passion, who understands how to work and take action from a place that holds value and meaning to you. That you have had all of this experience and you've learned these lessons, and that now that weary, wounded warrior is stepping forward as the Queen. And the Queen, her energy is almost one of magic, of wielding her passion with this element of, it's like a magic wand. The traditional Rider-Waite tarot depiction of the Queen of Wands is a queen sitting on her throne in the desert, but yet she's holding a sunflower, and there are sunflowers blooming next to her. And that denotes that she can make bloom anything, anywhere. And again, kind of harnessing that element of magic, that with her passion, wielding her passions, she can bring to life what she chooses, where she chooses. And you can see the determination in her face. So there's this element of going from the, can I make that next, can I take that last step of action? Yes, you can. And not only can you, but you can do it from a place of empowered awareness. And the ultimate block between you and your fresh start and your cup of love, between you and the divine, and moving into this grand new change, this new version of self, is the 3 of Swords. And these are the thoughts, the negative thoughts and the negative stories that we carry with us, that tell us that we can't, that tell us that we'll fail, that tell us that in the last time we did this, it didn't work out. The last time I tried to get into a relationship, it failed. The last time I applied at a job, I didn't get it. This is also where the stories from the past continue to haunt us. When somebody told us we weren't good enough, when somebody told us that we should just accept what is, when somebody told us that this can also represent something like somebody telling you, you're too impulsive. You have to learn how to be measured in your actions. And so you did. But now at a time when you're asked to move forward and to change quickly, you're hung up still on that voice in your head from somebody in your life telling you you're too impulsive. You have to be more grounded. You have to take measured action. When in reality, you've learned that lesson. You've learned how to take measured action. So these are the stories that have either been placed upon us by another, or the stories and the wounds from the past that we keep bringing up to ourselves. This is the heartache and the negative emotional or the negative mental wounding. So this is in our heads. This is the thoughts that keep us held back. And if you can realize that you are the Queen of Wands, well, you have the ability to banish those thoughts, because you can take action to create whatever you want now, knowing how to act. I have this feeling that many of you have learned now where your passion lies. You've learned where you've been taking action in a measured way, But in doing so, you've learned that there is one element that you would like to really nurture. And that one element is yourself. But there's a seed of passion within you now that you can take not only just to the end of a cycle, but past that now as this is who I am. But it's going to now need to be taken out into basically your external environment, but fresh. And you're going to be asked to kind of leave behind everything that has been up until this point. And that can be scary. That can be scary to have to leave a burning house knowing you can't go back inside to take physically with you the things you'd like. But that can also be on an emotional and a spiritual level, that you can't go back to that old version of self. You've grown past it. And your new version, the new answer to your I am question is coming in through the action you choose to take now based on your magic wand, which is your unique passion. And what are you going to do with that? And how are you going to banish these negative thoughts to step into your true power? All right, Aries, I'm going to pull some additional cards down here for the Triad of Engagement. Now, the Triad of Engagement is a coaching tool I've developed that focuses on utilizing the 3 principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation. And I show how you can utilize these 3 principles to be able to navigate over the void, over the barrier that has been created between being able to go out as your authentic self and engage with your external environment. So we're going to start here with an energy oracle card for the principle of curiosity. Now, when we're thinking about curiosity in relation to helping navigate over this challenge in your void, this is really where we're going to build the bridge between your internal self over the challenge to meet with your external environment. And how are we going to build that bridge? Well, curiosity allows us to tap into those beautiful energies of optimism, openness, and receptivity. Curiosity allows us to tap into, again, the awe and wonder of life, the knowledge that we will never know everything about everything. And being able to, especially tapping into that sense of optimism and openness, help us get past things like negative thought patterns. And also, when we think of negative thought patterns, I'm thinking back originally to my first intuitive kind of message that I got for you guys, of that element of, well, yeah, sure, when pigs fly. It's almost like you don't realize that you've turned into the Queen of Wands and that there's a large opportunity looming in front of you in your external environment. And it might finally this month be being brought forward. You might get that chance, that new job offer. You might get the opportunity to move to a new environment, or you might get that opportunity to have a fresh take in love, because love and romantic partnerships can also be that big change in our external environment. It can also help unlock our passions and our purpose and where to focus our energy. So there's this element about something fresh, this fresh start, this fresh emotional engagement and tied to something that you love. And really, for you guys, I think it's going to be so amazing that it's almost like you won't believe it. And with curiosity, we're going to tackle that negative thought pattern and say, believe it. Believe it, sweetheart, because it's true. So we have here contract. Very interesting, because contract can denote an actual contract being signed. So this can be the making or the breaking of a contract, where perhaps you guys are signing a contract for a new job opportunity, or you're signing a contract with a significant other. This could be something like getting engaged or getting married. This could also be the reverse. This could be getting a divorce or breaking a contract with a long-standing place of work. So there is this quality here around curiosity and being open, that there's going to come into play something in your external environment that's going to call up you to have to make a decision. But what I love about this card is that it also brings in the energy of justice. So it's very similar to the image on the Justice card in the tarot, which is, the blind lady justice holding the scales. And that something is going to be evened out here. So when we're looking at kind of what's going on with curiosity and openness in our external environment, I think whatever opportunity is coming in to either make or break a contract is going to help even out the feeling perhaps of where you've put so much time and energy into something and where maybe you felt like you weren't getting anything back, which is why it's very hard for you to give up all that you've worked for at this point, but which now you're being asked to step into that place of real faith, and faith that what's coming through here and you taking action either to make or break that contract or make or break that big decision, that is going to allow you to have whatever has been not imbalanced to be balanced, and that you will be able to get something back here. So the bridge of curiosity is really going to be asking you this month to stay vigilant and to ask yourself, where is that opportunity coming in for you? Again, this can be a marriage contract, a divorce contract, signing on for a new company, leaving a long-term company. So it's really got some energy of making that big decision. And you're going to have to, again, we're opening ourselves up beyond the when pigs fly mentality to, oh my gosh, what if that is actually possible? That's the beauty of curiosity. Now we're going to pull a card for courage. And courage is where we get a chance to have the courage to actually take action, to walk across the bridge that we've created between our internal self and our external environment through curiosity. It's not enough to just build that bridge and look outside ourselves with wonder and what if. Because if we never take the action to actually walk across the bridge and choose, actually from a place of free will, to engage with our external environment, well, then in reality, this is just us on one side of the bridge fantasizing about what's on the other side. It's not actually taking action towards it. Oh, Aries, we have surrender fear. It says, let go of the fearful stories you are telling yourself. Stay in the moment. Focus on solutions and celebrate every baby step forward. And this is perfect for you. In fact, I really get this feeling this is almost like harnessing your energy, Aries. This looks very much like every time I think of Aries as an energy. This is kind of what I get, this fiery, impactful, like time to move now. But it's saying here, let go of the fearful stories you're telling yourself. And that's really the Three of Swords over here. The Three of Swords blocking you from stepping into the Queen of Wands and owning your magic. And when we're thinking about taking courage to walk across, it might seem scary to walk across this bridge, to engage now this new kind of fresh, vulnerable start to yourself. And it might be scary because you're leaving behind physical things that you are tied to, that you feel really up to this point have been a part of your identity, have been a part of your I am. And that when now you're being asked to kind of leave everything behind, that you're feeling very vulnerable. And that can be scary. But what this is asking you to do is to stay in the moment. Focus on solutions and celebrate every baby step forward. And that is such a great piece of advice right there in when we decide to take action. Sometimes things seem so chaotic, and change, especially dramatic change in an external environment, that call to change can seem so big that we almost don't know where to start. And that's really where anxiety can creep in, because there's this element of like, well, I can choose this, or I can do that, or I can, I can try to take this action, but what about this action? And then where is this going to go? And it's about coming back to stay in the moment. Yes, you have to keep taking action forward. And yes, you're being asked to be called up into this new change, but just focus on one problem at a time and one solution for that problem at a time. So if you're being asked to sign a new contract with a new place of business, well, then this is about going back and saying, okay, in this moment, I have one decision to make. And what is that what is the one action I can take towards possibly moving towards this new start, this new contract? Well, I can do a little research, not getting lost in the devil in the details, but I can do a little research. And I can start to take those measured actions of saying, going to the interview, asking the right questions, reviewing the new contract, going back to my old place and letting them know I'm putting in my 2 weeks. It's all of these little steps. It's not about getting lost and doing them all perfectly. It's about just taking them. And again, realizing that you're being called to lean into this change and just do it, and do it now. You don't need to be afraid, because it's destiny is the one that's calling you now. Destiny is the one that's asking you to meet this change. And so it's on you to answer that call or not. But you will be supported if you do. And we're going to get one last card here, Aries, for a card of contemplation. And contemplation is where we get the chance to then, we've built through curiosity and openness and starting to become optimistic again towards our external environment. We built that bridge over our void. We've used courage to surrender fear, to walk across it, to engage with free will, our internal unique self with our external environment in an authentic way. And now through contemplation, we get the chance to walk back across our bridge, to bring back our experience, but also the consequences of the actions we chose to take in engaging with our external environment. And this is where we get to integrate and reflect and learn. So we have Star Mother, and it says, how can you mother yourself? Beautiful point of contemplation. So Aries, this lines up directly with the Queen of Pentacles for me. There's this quality here of really stepping up into that feminine energy that comes straight from the Ace of Cups. That energy of unconditional love and support. And how can you provide that to yourself to be able to get past these Three of Swords, these negative thought patterns? This can be something where somebody important and significant in your life, like a parent, at one point had told you that you weren't good enough, or that what you were passionate about was never going to take you anywhere. This can also be where you've maybe been in a place of work for a long period of time and been told that you don't have enough experience to be promoted into some, other position, or where at some point in your life, maybe you were told that because of your personality or, whatever, that you'll never go far in a specific line of work. And it's very interesting how sometimes it's just one person saying one offhand comment that we carry with us and carry forward. And it's a story that actually has nothing to do with us. That one person at that one point in your life telling you that one negative thing might have just been them projecting on you a fear or a realization of their own towards themselves. And yet you've carried that burden in that story and put it on yourself. And now it's time to realize, no, these are not your stories. This is not your heartache to relive over and over again. It's time for you to look at yourself like a mother, like how the divine sees you, and to honor and nurture and value yourself. So in contemplation, as we're coming back across, it's really about bringing that awareness of that change in your external environment and taking action towards it, and then bringing it back to really understand how that is bringing you emotional fulfillment. Not looking at it at an external and hoping it'll bring you, but bringing that experience back to say, I am worth it. I am capable. I am loved as who I am. And I'm going to start with loving myself first and understand the power that is going to allow me to. It's almost like if you think about the Queen of Wands in the desert, being able to use her magic passion wand to make sunflowers grow in the middle of an arid desert. It's almost like she has this ability to not only, make the flowers grow, but she now knows the secret to actually making them grow is watering them from her cup of fulfillment, of watering them from her connection to the divine knowledge that her cup always runneth over. And that's the wellspring that she can always go back to. It's a beautiful message here for you, Aries. And I know it's scary. I know leaning into the new can be very scary. And I understand that feeling of possibly having to leave some aspect of self behind. Again, kind of like having to watch your house burn and knowing that you can't go back inside to get anything to bring forward with you. But in reality, just because you can't get those pictures that you have of, with you and your family, or you can't go in to get your computer or your clothes, does that mean that you're going to forget those beautiful times that was captured by those pictures that were burned? Or does it mean that you can't now use this opportunity to buy a new wardrobe that might better suit you than the one that you had to leave behind? Does this mean that what was on that computer is not actually uploaded to the cloud and you can just download it into a machine that's possibly even better? So this is where we get the chance to realize that sometimes we have to release because it no longer serves us. And now as we begin to replace those aspects of ourselves, we get a chance to understand why we had to, because those old things didn't represent us. They didn't represent what the divine knows we're truly capable of now. And that's really where we grow spiritually. It's like having to, when we grow physically, we outgrow our clothes, right? We're not wearing the same clothes we wore when we were 5 years old as a 35-year-old or a 55-year-old. We had to let those clothes go. We had to give them away or sell them or hand them over to somebody or hand them down to somebody, but we couldn't keep wearing them. And that's kind of where you guys are, but on a spiritual level. All right, I'm going to pull an additional clarifier card for your internal energy and for the external energy. Oof, Wheel of Fortune for the Ace of Cups, and then we have Queen of Swords and Death. Okay, Wheel of Fortune. It means the energy is moving. It says energy is moving in your favor. And I think you feel that. You feel all of a sudden the wheel turning. Now we have the Queen of Swords and Death over here for Judgment. And the Queen of Swords is a card that does embody empowerment through, on a mental level, knowing what you're capable of, knowing what you've gone through, and actually being able to even, on some level, be able to communicate the lessons you've learned and perhaps even the pain and the heartache that you've had to go through. But there's also the darker side of the Queen of Swords, which is getting stuck in the energy of telling a story that is coming from a place of a singular wounded perspective, meaning that the Queen of Swords can get trapped in the energy of, instead of her saying, look how far I've come, let me share my story of all of the things I've overcome and to tell you the truth of those, she can start to change and alter the truth of what she sees based on a negative perspective. So instead of this coming from a place of empowerment where she's the empowered storyteller, she instead is coming from the place of, well, all marriage relationships are bad and no one should get married because my experience is that I've had a failed relationship. Or all people who own their own businesses are negative, terrible, taskmasters, and I don't want to, no one should ever work for somebody who owns their own business. Or all businesses fail. And so don't take the risk to start your own business because all businesses fail. My experience is that all businesses fail. And really what I'm seeing here with Death is that you guys are being asked to release that. I think at some point this Three of Swords and this Queen of Swords is asking you to step up into a place to release those negative thought patterns, to release that element of, well, everything, again, all relationships are bad, or I am not capable of having a committed relationship, or I will never, again, all small independent businesses are doomed to fail, so no one should ever start a own business, and so I will never start another business. It's one of those kinds of things, and you're being asked to transform that now, to let that die away, and so the Death card denotes death as well as transformation, because there's this quality to our experience that matter doesn't just end, it is transformed. And so anytime there is something that seems to have died, it is not just disappearing and evaporating into nothingness. That energy and that matter is being transformed into something new. And so there's this quality of being asked right now, as you step in to meet destiny, that it's time to release these negative stories and to step into that place of empowerment instead. So instead of the negative, to start telling the positive story of, look how far I've come. And this is what I've really learned about myself and my personal power. And this would look like you going into an interview and coming from this incredibly optimistic and empowered place of, I've really struggled. I struggled at my, in my career up to this point, but I've really come so far. I've learned all of these wonderful things. And even though now I'm choosing to maybe go into a different industry or career path, I get a chance to take everything I've learned, and this is how I can now utilize that in any scenario or any situation. Or if we're looking at this on a romantic or relationship side, this is where you get a chance to say, I was in a very difficult relationship and I had to walk away from it. I had to have a divorce, or I had to, end a long-term relationship. But what it taught me was how much I need to value myself and where I was not valuing myself. And it's not about saying all men or all women are terrible people because I wasn't valued in my last relationship. Instead, it's to say, actually, that was the best relationship for me, and I can see that now, because now I get a chance to see how I will never let somebody else make me feel any less than I know I'm truly worth. And that's how we get a chance to change from the negative, darker energy of the Queen of Swords, who's focusing so much on the negative stories, and change that into the empowered storyteller. And the empowered storyteller combined with the fearless Queen of Wands, who knows that she can create anything from her place of passion. That's not only an immovable force, but that's a force that creates dynamic change. And I think, Aries, you guys are really stepping into that place of understanding the power that lies there. These two cards together can really be that person who gets to sit and share their story and be able to make money from it, to teach others. This is also somebody who is almost fearless in the face of tackling anything new, because they truly understand what they can create and they truly understand how far they've come. Really, really powerful energy, Aries. You guys are going through some big changes, and I know it's difficult and it's scary and it can feel anxiety ridden at times, but it's meant to be leaned into, and it's meant to be embraced with this open, optimistic outlook. And it's not about looking back at what maybe you feel you've lost. It's about looking forward and all that you're going to gain. All right, Aries, I hope this has been a illuminating reading. I hope you get a chance to check out your self-connection reading, which is already up on the site, and your love connection reading, which will be coming out next week. And if you'd like to book a personal tarot reading or a one-on-one coaching session, the link to my website is in the description box below. If you'd like to turn a one-on-one coaching session into a live tarot reading, by all means, of course, we can do that. You just need to write that in the notes at the time of booking. And that would be the same with the individual tarot reading. So if you are booking a tarot reading, but you'd like it to be focused on a specific topic or subject, you can write that in the notes field and I will focus your reading there. And I look forward to reading for September. But Aries, I really think that August is going to be a just incredible month of growth for you. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day and an illuminating rest of the month, and I will see you all for your next reading. Bye, Aries.